Shout out to Jeezy. TM 103, episode 103. We gonna get straight to the shits. We not gonna hold y'all.
Let me add
Welcome
something.
to another wonderful.
Yo Gotti is who we thought Young Jeezy should be, but okay.
No.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You can't. There's no way you listen to
corporate. Like not music wise, but like him as a corporate entity afterward, like after his like quote unquote and shit. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, I would say if you want to make that comparison, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fair, but it wouldn't be Gotti, it'd be Gucci.
No. I'm saying Yo Gotti is what we thought Young Jeezy would be after his career.
No, and that's what I'm telling you.
Gucci's Gucci. He's out of here. No, I'm not even. Yo Gotti's not on Gucci level.
I'm saying that's my point. I'm saying from an executive
I
level,
get you.
we think he would be more Gucci.
Yeah, I get you.
Gucci's touched all of the youth. That's what Jeezy should be.
Forever.
That's what he should be. But
I can't compare them
to
just based on that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we same page.
Akon and Young Jeezy trying to take it easy. I got you.
Can't stand Akon. I'll never like Akon.
Hey man, he put the lights on, bro. He put the lights on.
Man, you know,
Akon said,
he got Wakanda.
It sound like somebody was putting it to him in that prison cell when he was locked up. That's all I'm saying.
Can I tell you guys a fun story about Akon? So I don't know if this is true or not, but it came from one of his attorneys when I worked in LA. So Akon's attorney was in my suite, and the word was the reason that he put all that money into Africa was, one, obviously he's a charitable guy, but two, he's got like 47 baby mamas and they were all coming after his money. So he's like, I'm gonna do something with this. So these bitches can't take all my money because they don't need $1 million a month.
You know what? I respect that more now.
I do too, right?
Because a lot of people do shit when people are coming after their money and it's like bullshit. But he was like, you know what?
I'm taking it back home. I'm taking it to Africa
because of this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what? I should have talked to him and make him do aquaponics. That would have been better.
Hey man, his kids are still out there. Those baby mamas still out there, and he's still making a lot of money. So I'm sure he's got more projects in the works.
Hey, Akon, do aquaponics, bro.
I just want to say this was a moment. The episode got derailed and I had nothing to do with it.
All right,
so
let's go.
First ever.
I mean, I just want to add, speaking of going to jail, Brian Flores has sued the Giants and the NFL.
Ain't nobody going to jail, though. We should have switched to Dan Snyder.
That's a James level segue.
Bitch, I would have said Dan Snyder.
Let me get on my Rory shit.
So yeah.
Oh my God. You ever
let the white guy get it out first?
Yeah, like you gotta go first on Black History Month.
So I don't see what the whole problem is here.
We just told you.
So you ever Apple needs you need like a 15-second window after you hit send where you can stare at your text and then be like, nah, that ain't it, and then hit delete before it actually sends. I think that'd help a lot of people out.
I used that function on Gmail last week.
That being said, look, I think it's tough for me because I think the person that the Giants did hire, who was the Bills' offensive coach, is a good hire, right? He's a good coach.
For sure. We'll get into that more later, but yeah.
I think that Brian Flores is a better coach? Yeah, we've seen it, right? We've seen him be a head coach.
He's proven.
The fact, people do this all the time. Every organizations do this all the time where they put in, like a rule and then they don't follow the rule, but they make you think they do. It's embarrassing for the NFL, and they already said they started with, we don't believe it. And then 4 days later put out we are seriously investigating this.
Without merit.
Yeah. Which means their lawyers were like, here's the one-liner we got to put out. And then they did some research and they went, oh fuck, we really got to put something out now. Look, Brian Flores is risking the rest of his coaching career to make a statement and make a stand on something that he finds very important. And I imagine, like everything else the fucking NFL does, this will settle somehow without any of us knowing anything. But I really hope it doesn't. I hope Brian Flores gets paid a average NFL coach's salary in perpetuity until he dies, because he deserves it. He hasn't gotten the shot that he deserves. And it's clear that when he was in Miami, they were asking him to disrespect the game of football, right? His owner was asking him to disrespect the game of football. And if you're a coach, if you're a fan of that team, if you're the owner's asking your head coach to lose games that you're paying money to go see, go fuck yourself. Dude, the NFL's pissing me off right now. Luckily, I mean, the Bills got like some COVID deniers in a few races, but good front office. Got that going for us. It's just sad, dude.
And so just before you go, Kate, I just want to add one thing to what Ryan said. I agree, but I just wanted to say, like, here's the thing that I felt like they just did it wrong, because like you said, like, it's a rule that teams are going to like try to get around, right? Here's what you should have did. You should have brought in Flores first. They always knew DeBoer was the guy. They knew it. They knew it from the beginning. That was their guy. He should have interviewed last. If Flores interviews first, then none of this happens. If he interviews first, none of this happens. Like none of this is like this. Because they fumbled like they're bullshitting around this rule. This has come to light and has become a hot topic. But if they had just, hey, we're going to interview Flores first, and then we're going to bring DeBoer in or whoever else, and then we're going to interview the guy that we really want to hire last, then it's fine. Right. It's fine. Like we're literally not having this conversation. And so, but I just wanted to say that. But I agree with you, Ryan. So
that's how much they don't care. They don't even put thought into how they're going to circumnavigate the rule, right? They're so like, this is what we do. We already know who we're gonna hire. We got to bring in Brian Flores because he's black. But we're gonna do that way later. We already know who. Like they don't care so much that they don't even put the thought into not getting caught, right?
Yeah. And the one organization that hasn't hired a black coach is that one.
No. There are apparently. Oh, you mean like black coaches or black head coach?
Head coach.
So there are 7 organizations who haven't hired a black head coach. My Ravens being one of them.
Y'all were just around. Like y'all just started.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I know.
But you guys have a black team president
my organization. But we have 3 head coaches in our history.
Right.
We've been in since like 1996. But I mean, I think because the coaches we had were good, but whatever.
Y'all just got a black team president. Just got it.
Yeah, we're the second team to do that in the NFL. But I'm just saying, like, as far as like black head coaches,
behind
Washington is the other team. Hey, go ahead.
Who?
Washington.
Oh, you're talking about Jason Wright?
Yeah. We'll get to the topic. All right. Don't fucking cheat. Don't scoot ahead.
I didn't say anything. Look, but I mean, you brought it up before when Jason Wright was hired and what you thought about it. So I remember.
Yeah.
Brian team. Who was the other ones?
Oh,
because you named 7.
I had a list, but I couldn't find it. Go ahead and talk, Kate. I'll tell you who the other 6 are.
So the Brian Flores thing has I feel even overwhelmed on where to start with it. Just because of the allegations that get brought up there in his suit, right? We have something that we all know is an issue, which is black representation beyond the playing field, be on the sidelines in coaching, or even worse in the front offices, or at the very worst, ownership when it comes to an NFL franchise. We all know that there is a grand disparity there. We all know that if they're really choosing the most qualified candidates, then there's got to be a bigger black pool that they're coming out of because of all the former players. And especially after what we talk about here on the podcast about pro-style systems that people learn from college and all the way up. These guys understand and know concepts probably better than any athletes have up until now. So like they're built in and ready to take these steps and to work up the ranks. Like looking around right now at former NFL players makes me feel really old. That are head coaches, Dan Campbell, I remember him playing. Mike Vrabel, I remember him playing. Frank Reich, I remember him. Like there's all these guys, and you're looking around, it's like, all right, where are the black guys? Like I know that there were black guys that played. Where are they? So it's something that we all know is happening. We all know when we see David Culley get picked up to go to Houston, it's hey, this is a shit situation. Let's give it to the black guy. He'll figure it out for a little bit. We'll lose some games, so we can at least say that we're doing some diverse stuff.
The Mark Jackson.
Huh?
The Mark Jackson situation.
Lamar Jackson?
No,
Mark. He said Mark, like Mark from
Jackson.
the Golden State Warriors.
Golden State,
yeah. But before you continue, K-Dot, so these are the 6 teams who've neither had a black head coach or general manager, because the Ravens obviously have hired the first black general manager with the legendary Ozzie Newsome. But here are the 6 teams they haven't had a black head coach or general manager: Falcons, Cowboys, Jaguars, Rams, Patriots, Saints. I think that's it. So 7, I guess. Titans.
The Jaguars are fairly new though, right?
Yeah, 90s.
Right, so they should be more inclusive right off the bat.
Well, you'd think, but like, all right, so there's that element to it, right? So that's what Brian Flores, he brings up that, but then the examples that he uses to respond to, I mean, I don't know about you. This lawsuit to me has absolutely zero chance of getting through. And I think they realize that. I think the thing it's supposed to be illuminating what's going on. It's just that some of the examples that he picked, there's already a couple holes in them. Like the John Elway accusation, where John Elway and the Broncos can now show an entire itinerary of everything they were doing the night before when they got accused of being drunk and or being hungover and coming to the meeting, where you're saying, no, they hopped on a flight and went across country because the only time that you could meet was 7 a.m. They actually did everything they could do to meet you. And they never met with Big Fangio, kind of what you were saying as far as the order in which they did it, until after they met with you. So you look at that situation like, maybe not that example, Brian. And then you have the Giant situation, which just looks bad overall. Bill Belichick, whether that's an accidental text or he's some mastermind just fucking with people, even though I doubt that the more I think about it, because I don't think Bill Belichick wants to get dragged into a courtroom. And he has relationships with the Giants because he coached there. So I doubt that. I think it's just an old guy not knowing how to use his fucking phone properly. Dude, you got to make sure you put the context in right. You got to put the context in correctly, okay? So there's those.
Black Brian.
That might have been it. That might have been it. So you have that issue, right? So it's like, we all know it's a problem, but can we specifically say that racism was the reason he's not a head coach? That's the thing with racism. It's extremely hard to prove. Which is the thing that black people have to go through. This is just what's happening in NFL, just a microcosm anywhere else. If you've been in corporate America, period, you know that the illusion they put over everybody is that everything's a meritocracy. Fuck off. It's not. Hardly ever. It's who you know, what you know, who you're hanging out with, the connections, and who makes you feel more comfortable being around is the people that you're usually going to surround yourself with. And it happens everywhere, right? So if Brian Flores is illuminating us to that, and we need to look at it, because the Rooney Rule is kind of bullshit. We know that their heart was in the right place for what it is they were doing, but it's terrible. It is checking off a box. We all know it. We all see it so many times. But how do we actually address what's going on? And I think that what they need to start looking at is just league-wide, there needs to be a percentage of any front office or coaching staff that needs to be diverse. That needs to be built in to what it is they're doing. Just force their fucking hand at this point, right? That's what we have to do there. Like that I want to solve the issue at hand without having all this gray area. If the bottom line is there's not enough black representation in those ranks, then let's change it. We don't need to bullshit around with it. Let's just change the shit. And then there's the other thing that Brian Flores brought up, which is, as soon as it got announced to me, was the bigger of the two stories as far as what was actually going to get proven, is him saying Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, was offered to pay him $100,000 for each loss. Stephen Ross is a jackass. I think everybody kind of knows that. What he was doing and wanting to lose games, you can kind of see it. They didn't. The Tua project was one thing. We know that the front office fell in love with Joe Burrow. They wanted to tank for Joe Burrow. After they saw Joe Burrow's success, I don't think the front office wanted to deal with Brian anymore because he wanted Herbert the first year. It was just a fucking nightmare. So you have that, and you got an owner that's basically like, look, motherfucker, I pay you, you black bastard. I pay your goddamn salary, and if I want you to tank some fucking games, you're going to tank the fucking games from me. Do as I said. I think there's that element, because if you look at the front office in Miami, guess what? Black GM, they got representation down there. It's one of those things where I'm looking at, I'm like, then if Brian, if you got to have the receipts on this, man. And I don't know, is Stephen Ross that big of an idiot that he's going to have a paper trail on $100,000 payments for game?
I heard that there is a witness who was there.
So there's the witness. Everybody's pretty much got it single. That is probably Chris Greer, who is the black GM for the Miami Dolphins, was the one that overheard it. There was one article written about this witness. It was written by Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. It came up on NFL.com and it was pulled down off the NFL.com, which goes in the grand scheme of everything that we're seeing with the NFL right now. If there was a witness and the only source was an NFL reporter and the NFL said, hey, we either need to know who your source is or you need to pull this shit down. The fact that we even have to ask those questions, or those are questions that are relevant, speaks to a shitty system.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, and I'll just keep this short, is that I feel like the Rooney Rule just isn't working in the way that it's being implemented or the way that they're enforcing it, because it's it makes it so that teams are like, fuck, we have to interview so-and-so, and not let's get these 5 candidates in and then base them on merit.
Right.
And I think like anything else, like what do I hate doing? I really hate folding my laundry, right? But I know that it's something, that I have to do. But like if it didn't feel like a chore, right? If it was just something that I did along with my other chores that I enjoy, I would just be able to breeze through it. And I feel like because it's a chore now for these teams, it makes it almost so that they want to make it an afterthought, right? It doesn't seem like it's being implemented correctly. I don't know how to fix it, but they definitely have to revisit it, because it clearly is not helping. Black coaches get hired, Spanish coaches get hired. It's not doing what it's meant to be doing. All it's doing is making sure that these guys come in at the end or at the beginning, which we said would probably be better for the teams. Right. And then still not getting the job anyway. So they really got to, it starts with having more coaches of color in like being like assistant coaches and linebackers coaches, etc. Because once they're 50% linebackers coaches are black in the NFL, we got a shit ton more coaches under them who are also black, who then are going to be head coaches, who are going to hire more black coaches. It's a waterfall of things. So they got to fix the rule. So it's not just head coach. It's the coaches in your organization need to be diverse, not just the head coach. Because I think there's not as much opportunity there to begin with. So.
Right. And so I wanted to speak to that. And I agree with some of what you're saying. And so they talked about this on I Am Athlete, but if you look at coaching trees, right, it's supposed to be a thing with like coaching trees for like great coaches. Like, obviously McVay became a thing in like 2018. It was like, everybody has to have a McVay coach. Like, we got to get a coach from the McVay coaching tree. And like, it was once upon a time a thing to get a coach from the Bill Belichick tree. If you look at the coaches, the black head coaches who've gotten hired in the last 10 years, most of them have come from the Tony Dungy tree, right? They all came, I won't say all, but like probably like 80% of them came from the Tony Dungy tree of head coaching,
Caldwell,
which is wild. And Ryan Clark brought this part up, or was it Ryan Clark or Hugh Jackson? I don't remember who brought this part up.
It was Hugh. No, but it's
you said, where's Tomlin's coaching tree?
Yep.
Where's Tomlin's coaching tree, right? I guess it's mostly white coaches. And I'm not the guy who's like, I'm blaming like Tomlin for that or anything. I'm not even that guy. Like, I don't give a shit. Because he's won. And I don't think like people consider him enough of like the greatest coach in the NFL, in my opinion, for a guy who doesn't have a fucking losing season. And aside from that, I wanted to speak to the Rooney Rule, right? And so the Rooney Rule was instituted because of Tomlin, when Pittsburgh didn't really want to interview Mike Tomlin. They didn't really want to interview him. And that's where it comes when we talk about ordering things. And they were like, let's give this guy a shot. He impressed them in the interview. And they were like, we're going to hire him. We're going with him, right? And so the Rooney Rule spawned from that ideology. And the thing I think that, like what Brian's touching upon, is not enough NFL teams are open-minded like that when it comes to all right, I'm gonna interview Leslie Frazier for this job, even though I don't really fucking want to, but I'm gonna interview him. And it's like most of the other teams seem to be closed-minded in that sense, where it's like, all right, I'm gonna interview him, but even if he does a fucking good interview, I'm not really gonna hire him because I know who I want to run my organization. Because in any fucking field, it doesn't matter what field you're in nursing, you could be a doctor, you could be in recruiting, you could be in marketing. It's not always what you know, but who you know. And a lot of times, white people know other white people. So I'm gonna go with another white person. And that's the issue. And so what I wanted to, and I want to start with you, James. Like, do you think is there a solution to the Rooney Rule that can get more minority coaches in front of these guys with a fighting chance, or like that can hire minority coaches? Like, is there a rule? Is there a stipulation? Like, do you think there's something that we can do, even if it's extreme? Like, do you think there's something we can do about it?
All right. Let's take a step back and think of the basics, right? If you look at the people who run the NFL, who are they?
White people.
No. What's their title?
Owners?
Who
you
runs
mean
the
like
NFL?
Personality type?
No. The owners.
Oh.
The owners run the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do the owners care most about?
Money.
Exactly. Always follow the money, right? The biggest way to make changes with money.
Lester Freeman, The Wire. Yep.
Like, I'm just spitballing, like random thought at the top of my head, but if you make it more towards how, this is the reason why I think American sports like fail a little bit in regards to, you have a bunch of different teams that are just ass forever, right? And then you have the couple that are good. There's no real consequences. So if you make it so that there's an actual monetary consequence for being shit, the owners would like step their shit up. It's not just a business. It's like, you have to do something to make sure this shit works. So, because I'm thinking about like relegation, like all this shit just popped in my head. Like, logistically, it's probably not going to work, but you can figure some shit out. Like, you have like a couple different teams that are like, you know what? If the Jaguars go 1-15, swap their asses out with something else or whatever. Like, they send their ass to London. They play in London. They play the teams over in Europe. They play their ass for a year. Like, just something stupid, random. I don't know. But that's the only thing I think of right now.
I mean, I think that a more, now I don't know how this would work, but let's say, this will never happen, but let's say that you're a garbage franchise, like the Jaguars are currently, right? And you can't get anything right.
You have a great fan base.
You have a great fan base. You're making a bunch of money, right? What if there was like, you know how they tier the money so that teams all get something basically sort of equal with TV rights and shit? We do that so that if you're garbage, you're getting less money. And so your incentive is, or you get like, it's almost like a fine, but it's not. You just make less millions at the end of the year. Withholding. Yeah. It's not like you're not going to get it back. But let's say like you hire, a bunch of coaches and you get your drafts right. And then the next year you're over 500. There's some sort of incentive for doing that. Right. And additionally, there's an additional incentive if more of your hirings are diverse, right? You just build it in like they do tax breaks, which would, if all they care about is money, let's give them incentive to do the right thing, right?
Yeah. Which, the only part that sucks is like it seems like charity, which is annoying.
It's not charity. So it's the same thing it's the same thing the government fucking does. You know that it's not a national law to be over 21 to drink in a bar, but if your state doesn't have that as a law, the government's like, no funding for you, right? So it's just like, it's incentive for people to do the right thing, which has a positive outcome, right? It sucks you have to do that, but like,
that's what I mean.
It's one way of getting the ball rolling, because once you get the ball rolling downhill, it'll keep rolling, right? So it's just step in the right direction until it becomes commonplace. It's just an idea. Honestly, fuck the owners. Like, also, the Doug Peterson hiring, flabbergasted.
I can't wait to get into that. I cannot wait to get into that.
And also flabbered.
Yeah.
Just flabbergasted.
I just want to touch on what Ryan said real quick, and it's because basically I feel like my idea was similar. I thought you were going to go with what I was thinking in my head, which was if you fire 2 white coaches back to back, you're required to hire a minority.
The old 2 for 1.
If you fire, not one leaves. If you fire 2 back to back, then you have to hire a minority coach.
You know what they're gonna do?
And that would basically
they're gonna say, hey, I'll give you a cool $1 million if you resign.
Right, buy out to resign.
I know.
Yeah, but
there's loopholes over everything. That
was so simple that they're going bypass that shit.
That's gonna cost them money though.
Huh?
Look,
they don't give a shit.
I mentioned one idea, which is just quotas. You look at the percentage of the players across the NFL and you say that the coaching staffs have to be as diverse as the playing staff or as the players on the field. That's one thing. Doubt that'll happen. Number 2 thought that I had was more of a free agency with coaching. So coaching in the sense of I'd love to see an NFL coaching academy, and I'd like to see a pipeline for NFL former players to get training and to get internships on teams, to be around coaches, to be around the team, be around the front office, so the teams are more familiar with these people, to get them to the point where they get to be actual head coaches or offensive defensive coordinators. Because I think the pipeline being more like that helps, and I think that financial incentives as far as hiring people that go through that system all the way from the bottom to the top could be something that's looked upon in the right way. The other idea that I have is 2 to 4 expansion teams for the National Football League, all owned by minorities.
It's kind of
funded by the rest of the league.
Maybe, but I think that there's the ownership aspect. There needs to be people in those rooms making decisions from the top down. Now, is there a guarantee that they're going to hire or do right? Probably not. So I think that it kind of works in conjunction, but the idea that I look across the National Football League and I don't see minority owners. I don't see black owners. I don't see that. That is something that I think needs representation in those league meetings when they're coming up with the rules for all of this shit. But I really think the thing that I'm most excited about is like a farm.
Let me interject something real quick.
Yep.
So this brings into it like an idea I had. We could do it at a different pod or something. But I was thinking about like owner musical chairs. Where like some owners, we get rid of some owners and then we bring in others.
Yeah, you're tenuring the owners. Like you
like,
only get.
I give you an example of one that I had outside of switching Dan Snyder for somebody else like Bezos or something that wants it. But I was going to say like with Mark Davis, it's like can't push Mark Davis out, but split it half and half with Ice Cube.
I actually, I kind of like that idea just from hey, all owners, you got 10 years. Unless you're just thriving, unless your franchise is just thriving in that time span.
That would be awesome.
You are susceptible to being split with a minority guy who can come in and help you because you're not knowing what the fuck you're doing. Or whatever situation may be.
Or you're required to sell if you don't have.
Or you're required to sell, and you must sell to a majority portion to a minority.
There was something I did hear back. I mean, a lot of NFL teams do this to a certain degree, but that the quote unquote owner of the team can't own but a certain amount of percentage of the team. The rest of it has to be a board that people sit on and make votes and things in order for the franchise itself to make decisions. I know there was something along those lines happening in Washington. Dan Snyder always had full ownership though, or mostly majority ownership. And then after the sex scandal and all that, he actually became 100% owner.
Which is kind of nuts. Like you get rewarded for doing shit like that.
My last thought on this is, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and I don't understand why schools don't do it. So obviously, if you're a young athlete, you want to be out there and playing because the next level you make millions and millions of dollars. If there were the same type of scholarship opportunities for kids who want to go into coaching, who maybe are, you're going to be a backup but you really have the skills to be a coach. If, you know, even any of the bigger colleges can afford it. So in order to promote diversity at the next level, if you start teaching kids to coach at 18 at the Florida States and the Alabamas and the LSUs of the world, by the time they'll get 4 or 5 years experience before, you know, they have to graduate. And you get a Nick Saban saying, yeah, this kid's, you know, he's been on our sideline for 5 years. I think he's going to be great at the next level. That's as good of an endorsement as you can get, right? So that could get your foot in the door for, you know, a lower coaching position in the NFL, which still pay pretty good.
That my original idea for the NFL coaching academy is what I considered it, was in order for the NFL to get its hands on what the problems or the issues are at football from the lower level all the way up. I almost think of it as like an accreditation. Like you go in, you do that academy, you can go and coach peewee football, but you're teaching fundamentals on tackling, making sure that people are not getting hurt, things like that come from an overall scientific basis of professionals and experts, not to mention provide teaching or opportunities for some former players and coaches to even do that. But the idea that you could leave from a program that the NFL kind of puts their stamp on it and say, I got taught how to coach, or got taught coaching concepts from the absolute best. Like, you think of like the guys that just love the game. You don't think Bill Belichick would love to be a fucking professor at the goddamn Institute of fucking Coaching or some shit like that to be able to teach philosophy? Well, what? Come on.
Everybody else, though, I agree with you. But Bill's like, I'm not giving you bitches my secrets. In my head.
Well, he'd probably be like a history. History is one of the courses you have.
Story, yeah.
Right? History.
So you can give him something. He could teach something.
He could teach something. He'd be
you
happy.
could get him when I'm dead.
He loves history. I agree with you.
But I just think that there's a way for us to do it, which kind of nationwide develops what it is the fundamentals of football need to be. Teaching you how to coach your quarterback not to get your wide receiver killed across the middle, teaching defensive players how to make sure that you're wrapping up and follow through in your tackles and not doing things to get yourself head injuries. Like, all these things that we can do to really start to cultivate this. And these guys can go off to be college coaches, high school coaches, wherever. Like, it's just to be able to have that thing there on you. It could be an incredible thing to do. And I think a straight line and a fast lane should be if you were a former athlete.
Jason
I like a lot of you guys' suggestions.
Oh, you bitch.
I really appreciate your suggestions, but we can't stay on this topic too long. I think we have like a culmination of what could be done for the NFL, but they won't listen to us.
Last thing, we officially solved diversity in NFL coaching in under 20 minutes.
No,
we got so many ideas.
It was like 40. But
last thing, just a few seconds. Brian Flores, I think your heart's in the right place. I like this. I like the cliff that you're stepping out on, because we know that the likelihood that you're actually going to coach an NFL team after something like this is slim to none. I appreciate it. I do wish it was done a little better. I wish that certain things, but I think that regardless, the fact that you're out here and the fact the conversation is happening at this level, mission accomplished on that level, bro.
Okay, great. And so segueing from Flores to the team that he thought maybe he would be coaching at, which is the Giants, we want to talk about basically all the new coaching hires, and just let me know if I missed one, guys. I want to start. I don't want to start with the bowl. I want to start that's going to be second, but I want to start with McDaniels to the Raiders. Obviously, then we have the bowl to the Giants. We have Peterson to the Jaguars. We have Eberflus to the Bears, and we have Nathaniel Hackett to Denver. Am I missing a new hire?
I think you got it.
Yeah, I think that's it. But I want to start
waiting on a couple,
because that was the most polarizing move to me. And just a little background: McDaniels was 11-17 when he coached in Denver from 2009 2010. He flaked on the Colts. And like there are reports that he wasn't good, which is a consistent theme with any Belichick like coaching tree guy. Like, they're not good with the people or players. They're very smart, but they don't know how to connect on an emotional level. So I want to start with McDaniels to the Raiders, because I thought that was probably, in my opinion, the best hire that's been made so far, even though it comes with some hiccups. And so obviously there's a guy on this podcast who is a Raiders fan. And so I want to start with you, James, because I think you will have some thoughts.
Yep, I got a lot. So first off, I want to wait to see what happens. Like, I could be excited for an hire and then not work out. I've been through that so many fucking times. So it is what it is. But first off, a lot of the Raiders fans, the only nation in the fucking NFL, Raider Nation, didn't like McDaniels being hired because he's with the fucking Patriots. Like, we hate them. We hate the Patriots. Like, the tuck, it was a fucking fumble. McDaniels, the first thing he told Mark Davis when he met with him was it was a fumble, and I thought that was fucking hilarious. And in the press conference, he openly admitted that he failed in Denver with people, and like with the players themselves, like he couldn't relate. He was all about like preparation, all that other shit. Looking at the Denver players discuss him, like they hated him, but they felt like they were the most fucking prepared team like ever. And seeing it's how like that was like 12 years ago. And he's like, I've had time to reflect on it. He did flake on the Colts, and he was like, yeah, some shit wasn't ironed out. Like when he went there, and he's like, no, I'm not doing this. That's also a luxury to be able to say like, yeah, I don't want this job because I'll get another one. As a black coach, you can't do that shit.
Well,
I was going to say white privilege is a thing. I'm so glad you said.
But like that was the thing.
Said, I'm going to go back to my old job.
Yeah,
with the Patriots.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at it, the one thing I will say is I really appreciate how he approaches coaching. The same thing I'll do with our defensive coordinator. I don't know if you're going to hit on that. Are you? Like, or I wasn't going to talk about it. I am going to talk about him now because I'm definitely going to talk about him. So, yeah, with Josh McDaniels, he goes about coaching and saying like, yeah, we're going to prepare for each team. You can't beat every team the same way. Like you have to be able to adjust and shit. And that's what we haven't been good at doing for the longest fucking time. That's where our teams fucking fail towards the end of the year, every fucking year. And Patrick Graham, believe it's Patrick Graham. We hired him as a defensive coordinator. I looked at his interviews and how he discussed defense, where he was like, they asked him if he runs a 3-4 or 4-3, and he just said yes. He's like, it doesn't matter. We need to go based on how like our players and what the other offense is going to do, and we will figure out how to attack them. I saw the shit firsthand, and that's the only game I watched us get killed. No, I turned off the game at the middle of the fourth quarter versus the Chiefs, and I turned it off in the third quarter versus the Giants because he was fucking killing us. We couldn't do shit against that deep. Like I was like, yeah, we're gonna go to New York and just whoop their ass. Like they're not that good, but looking at it, I was like, their defense is fucking nice. And if you look at all the different Giants fans talking about Patrick Graham leaving, like everybody was pissed off that he was gone. So I was like, all right, well, he can't be that bad if everybody's upset that he's gone. But
with a really shit team, yeah.
So it's wait and see for me. It's a wait and see.
I think it's a good hire. I think you got a really good defensive coach, and you got a guy who is an offensive wizard who is from the Belichick coaching tree. Now, don't get me wrong, the Belichick coaching tree has not been fantastic. But
Flores is in there, by the way.
If you have
but he's black.
Oh, okay.
If you
you see what I mean?
Romeo Canal.
Yeah, you're right. He went to Cleveland though. Not a fair shake.
But
wait, has any of his assistants left Bill Belichick, came back, and then left again for another head coaching job? Has that happened yet?
I think so. I think either
probably,
Weiss
but I can't think.
Charlie Weiss or Romeo Canal. I think it happened with one of them guys.
Weiss went to like Notre Dame. I
know, but I think he went somewhere else. Like, yeah.
Sarkisian, didn't Sarkisian leave, come back and leave again?
Matt Patricia's an assistant coach on Patriots right now.
Right, but he ain't, and then
he'll get another shot somewhere. He's doing something.
No, he won't.
Yeah.
He's white.
Awful.
Where did Vrabel play?
New England.
All right, so that's a good one.
Mike.
That's why when you were earlier, you were like, I didn't see Vrabel play. I'm like, yes, we did.
Who said that?
How is Mike Vrabel? How is Mike Vrabel being successful? I'm confused.
They just had the number 1 seed. Okay, whatever.
They've been to the playoffs 3 straight years. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
what did they do then?
That's a hell of a laugh.
Fumbled the bag.
I'm like Ryan.
They won a game, then they lost a game, and they lost a game. I think they're 1-3 or 2-3, 2-3, something like that. But like, I mean, they've been to the playoffs 3 straight years with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, and yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like you can. That's successful.
That's success.
Like I like
only one team can win the Super Bowl.
That.
Only one team can win the Super Bowl.
But I like Josh McDaniels a ton. But as we're seeing with New England, exactly whatever the cocktail was between Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, I don't think we quite know exactly how the magic fit with each other that made them as successful as they are. We're still waiting to see if it can be recreated without Tom's magic there in New England, and the jury's still out, right? Josh McDaniels, when he went to Denver, I remember the first year when he had Kyle Orton, and then he drafts Tim Tebow, and he gets fired before seeing the Tim Tebow project off. Look, I'm still a defender of Tebow in the sense of like Taysom Hill type. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't even think he's like a bad quarterback. I think he's a terrible quarterback, but I think he's a great football player. I just think that Josh McDaniels was trying to do certain things with it, and they wanted him to keep things more traditional. I don't really feel as though they let him really unleash what he wanted to do with Tim Tebow, just because I don't think the league was ready for it. But when I look at Vegas making this decision, it feels as though Mark Davis is struggling to dig deep and find his dad's like success philosophy. Like he goes back and tries to recreate it with John Gruden, right? And this almost feels as though this could be a genius move with also hiring the GM that is also from New England to try to create New England out west. Or you've just done Lane Kiffin 2.0. So I'm just saying that, like, could it be the young upstart guy who has these grand ideas like Lane Kiffin, and then you're out on your ass after a year and a half? Maybe the jury's out. I think I trust McDaniels more than I trust Lane Kiffin just from a mentality standpoint. But we cannot say that when the hiring for Lane Kiffin happened, it was one of Al Davis's last decisions, because I think Hugh
Jackson was the last.
Hugh Jackson after he fired Lane, right?
On the teleprompter, which is hilarious.
Jesus.
A projecting board.
That's the thing, is like it feels as though they're trying to, like, Vegas is doing their style of getting the young upstart exciting guy, which is what the Raiders are known for. When John Madden was hired, he was the young guy. You guys do that.
Josh considered young?
He's still to a certain, like 45. He's still considered.
Like, he's been in the game for he was a head coach like 12 years ago.
Really young.
He's not young.
But he was really young. And I get that with McVay, all these guys right now, it's kind of skewed the age thing. But if you were to talk about it at any given point in time, McDaniels is still thought of as like the young guy because he's been under Belichick. He had the 2 years as far as being a head coach. He never really he could have had a shot anytime he wanted to, as we saw with the Indianapolis thing. He just chose not to. So that's the thing. And I also wonder about that mentality. Like, what is that like you could have had any head coaching job you kind of wanted for the last decade, and you chose not to? I know. I'm saying that speaks to something in your mentality. I don't know if you'll ever be ready.
Okay.
Or like he said he was waiting for the right spot, but no. I hear you.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that.
I think Josh thinks that Stephen Belichick is probably going to get the throne, so he needed to bounce. I think that's what's writing on the wall.
I do want to get all of your grades for basically this pick. So I want to start with Ryan. Ryan, like, what would you grade it from A, B, C, D, D minus, D plus, C plus, and F completely? What would you grade this higher for the Raiders?
Probably a B plus. Mostly because they've struggled. You know, their struggles have been mostly on offense and not being able to adjust. And if they have somebody who can do that mid-game, I think they're going to be a lot more successful next year. So.
Okay. James?
1,000%. I'm gonna say NA because I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen here. Like,
yeah, but grade it on what your thought process, like, just grade it from where the potential.
All right. So as a Raiders fan, I hate it just because it's Josh McDaniels. But looking at what he brings to the team,
yeah,
it could be perfect. And like based on the reports coming out of the whole camp and everybody over there, like they love Carr. Like they said, like, yeah, we want to like discuss shit with him because they're in a negotiation. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, he's going to be here for fucking ever, because then you can get fucked over by whatever's agent. So Derek Carr is going to be there. I need to see what the fuck we do in terms of the other people that we bring in. I know we're keeping the wide receiver coach, which is great. I want to see who's the OC. Now, if Mike McDaniel doesn't get anything from any of the other places, he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's not going back to San Francisco because they just hired Anthony Lynn. So if you're not going to be a head coach anywhere, you can be an OC. And
I'm going to light the real fucking torch in that goddamn stadium if y'all take Mike McDaniels from the rest of us. Fuck you.
Look, man, fucking hire him then. Okay.
Is weed legal there? Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we have dispensaries everywhere. I've been to a bunch of them. So yeah. If he wants to go there, like that would be great. I need to see who else we bring in because, like you said before, Mike, Josh McDaniels has had issues relating to people. The people that he's brought in so far are people are player coaches. So he has that buffer already, especially looking at the defensive side. Patrick Graham. If you watch some of his interviews,
you said NA.
I love the way he looks at defense. It's great. I was like, fuck shit, I want to play fucking safety for him.
What's your grade?
Right.
What's your grade?
A B, because I don't know. Like, I need to see who he puts on offense. I need to know who the offensive coordinator is.
All right, Kate.
Like, this is like a homework assignment. You're looking for a final grade. We're just asking for the homework assignment here.
Well, I'm being fucking real, so shut the fuck up.
Cannot go ahead.
C+. Bitch made shit to get rid of Rich Bisaccia and not giving him one more year. I disagree with that fundamentally. Outside of that, Josh McDaniels I like as a person, but there's nothing that really proves to me based on his track record that this is going to be a very successful endeavor. I am rooting for him though, because I actually do like Josh McDaniels.
I want to give him an A-. I think this is a great hire for them. I think when you look at some of I'm also putting it into context and in comparison to some of the other hires, because a lot of the other hires are like first-time coaches. And I love a coach with experience who's learned, like James touched on this a little bit. Like, I feel like maybe if he's learned from his mistakes, he knows where his weak spots are, then he'll be great. Like, I mean, I don't think we can question his ability to craft an offense and be a tactician and prepare teams for games. I heard Brandon Marshall like go crazy over him on I Am Athlete when he was in Denver. And so like, it makes a lot of sense to me that he can prepare that team. They have enough pieces offensively. They have their Wes Welker, their Julian Edelman with Hunter Renfrow. They got their white boy who's short and not going to catch it over anybody, but is going to get you 150 catches a fucking year and like be in the slot and kill it. You got your tight end, you got your Gronk with Waller. Like, hey, if you fucking use him like he's supposed to be used, you're good there. Like, and you got Carr who can throw that shit and who is a top 12 quarterback, in my opinion, and be as good as a top 10, top 8, maybe quarterback at the peak of his powers. If he's at the peak of his powers and an offense that is using him correctly, I think it's a great hire. I love it for them, and especially considering some of the other alternatives. Like, I don't know who else they could have hired, in my opinion, that I would have thought that would be a better hire. Maybe Bieniemy, maybe Flores, but maybe not. And then maybe that's really it for me. Or maybe Leftwich. That's like 3 coaches that might. Two possibles. I mean, 2 possibles and a maybe with Flores. And it's like, okay, so yeah. I'm giving them an A-, but I don't want to say there.
Flores, who like Flores would have took the defense. Defense would have been good, but who's gonna run the offense?
No, for sure.
That's your Mike McDaniels.
And that's that. You can say the same thing with McDaniels, who's going to run defense. But we got Graham, who we'll see how that works.
What if they go to the wait? Is weed legal in Houston?
No.
Is weed legal in Texas?
It's Texas.
I don't know.
No.
All right. Well, McDaniels not going there. I'm New Vegas, my guy.
Moving on. I want to talk about obviously the one that's caused the most.
He's not, because Anthony Lynn. They just did Anthony Lynn as like the
but he's not an offensive coordinator.
But he's like an OC, like assistant head coach. Like
a lot of teams are starting to do that now.
But all right, looking at everything that people are saying, like since Anthony Lynn is coming there, most likely Mike McDaniel is gone.
All right.
And he's already interviewing for head coaching jobs anyway, so he should get one of them.
All right. So let's go to the Bull, going to the Giants. Everybody, you can start with your grade and then kind of talk about the hire. I think last one we went to Ryan, so let's start with K-Dot.
This team's a fucking mess. I do like what Mara said as far as giving Daniel Jones another shot and Brian DeBall there to help him through that. I think it's a good idea. I'll say B-. Right now, I just think that team's a fucking mess. I don't know. I like the idea of someone working with Daniel Jones who's offensively minded in Saquon Barkley to at least get some sort of identity for that franchise.
Okay, I should have started Ryan. That was my fault. I was thinking Ryan because Bills OC. That was my fault. But so we'll go to Ryan last. James, you go next.
I'm gonna go B again. At this point, it seems like the Giants are trying to salvage anything they can with not only Daniel Jones, but also Saquon Barkley. They've used him extremely, like, too much already. And, the lifespan of a running back is short enough as it is, but Saquon's already been injured so many times. What's his contract? I think he's up after this year, maybe. And if he is, I don't think they'll re-sign him unless because what's the point in that? They just lost a defensive coordinator. I think they should get the old defensive coordinator from the Ravens, Wink. I believe they're about to interview him. But yeah, right now it's a B. I just hope they don't do the same shit that they do to all the other minority coaches that get hired in the NFL, which is like give them a dumpster fire and then fire them after 1 year when you have a high draft pick and you pick out your quote unquote coach that you wanted the whole time.
Okay, cool. Brian?
I'd give it an A, and I'll tell you why. Brian Daboll earlier this year was trying to figure out who was healthy as a running back, who was working, and he would literally, the team would rally around being a coach's decision to not to play. Like Zach Moss didn't play for 4 weeks, right? And then it was Devin Singletary, right? Until he found the right combination, but you didn't hear anybody complain. The team was rallying around their offensive coordinator, right? He knew how to get Josh Allen outside the pocket so he wasn't getting hit. His schemes are crazy good for the players that he has available because we didn't have our whole team available all year. Mm-hmm. I think because he's basically going to be coaching the offense. They need to hire somebody for the defensive side of the ball. But if you have an oft injured running back and a quarterback that we know can throw, who's not putting himself in good positions or not being put in good positions to throw the ball and get the ball out and has fumbling problems, why not bring up a guy who knows how to do all of these things and seemingly can do it with the support of the players, even if it seems a little unorthodox? It's an A for me right now. Could be an F by the end of the season, but Daniel Jones is better than he's been playing. I don't think there's any question in that. And if you can keep Saquon healthy by not workhorsing him, that team has a chance. Like the Bills had their 19th fucking lineman in towards the end of the season and still made it work. So I think it gives them a much better chance than they had last year. So it's an upgrade. I don't know what you can do with that team, but Brian might be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't think they're a playoff team. I say it's probably a B+ for me. I think the only better candidate might have been for me for that situation would have been Flores, to be honest. I don't think there's another candidate. I mean, Leftwich makes sense, but I don't think he would have. I think it would have been one of those situations where it would have been unfortunate for him. He would have been ousted within a year or two. So I think Flores could have turned that situation around. And I think historically, the Giants do better with defensive-minded head coaches. And that's why I think Flores could have thrived. I think Coughlin was more defensive-minded.
Coughlin's an offensive coach.
He claims to be. I mean, he claims to be, but look at his offenses. They weren't that.
I know.
That was in Jacksonville too.
But in Jacksonville, that was just.
Well, if Flores was hired there, Patrick Graham would also still be there because they're buddies.
Yeah, and so that would have been great, and that would have had a top tier defense, right? And that's what you kind of need with a below average
when they were in
quarterback.
Miami, it wasn't that good. I think they were 19.
Hey, they won fucking games.
True.
But yeah, so I think that's just my opinion on the ball. I think, but it's a good hire. It's like they're the second best hire they could have made, in my opinion. So I want to transition, and I want to start with this one because this one is closer to me because I love Trevor Lawrence, and so the Jaguars. And I always thought like Leftwich is the perfect coach to go to the Jaguars. He played there before, even though he wasn't as great as their starting quarterback. He figured it out as an OC. Like, let's give Trevor Lawrence let's empower him and have a great offense and everything. But they didn't do that. So instead, they went with Doug Peterson. And so I wanted to speak to this. Doug Peterson took the Eagles to the playoffs in 3 out of 5 seasons. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a proven head coach. So it's not a bad hire, in my opinion. But I can tell it's not their choice. He wasn't their top choice. He probably wasn't even second. I don't know. He might have been second. I don't know. But the thing was, he interviewed in early December. It is February. He interviewed in early December for that head coaching job. If they wanted him, they would have brought him in by now. He would have been head coach a month ago. But they didn't want him. They wanted Leftwich. But from what I read, Leftwich didn't like balk at GM.
Yep.
And that was an issue for him. Well, and so he was like,
all the fans
for him and apparently a couple other coaching candidates too.
Yeah, and he also was very specific about who he wanted as GM. Adrian Wilson, former safety.
Yes, and even Peterson was like, "Hey, that VP situation, what are we doing about that?" And he was like, apparently he has assurances that would not have allowed him to accept that job. But
well, yeah, they are reporting that somebody's going to be hired as an EVP to help.
Yeah, and they're saying it will be. They're saying that Vikings Rick Spielman might be the VP. Yeah. And so I just want to say, basically, it's not a bad hire, but it's not the best hire they could have made. Leftwich would make the most sense for that situation. Young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who has a lot of talent, a lot of potential. Who beat the fucking Buffalo Bills? I don't know how, but he beat the Bills, beat some other teams like late in the season where it's like, hey, Trevor just did a thing. He just did a thing. And so I think he's a very talented young quarterback. I would grade this a B-, just because it's like that's not the guy that they wanted, and it just seems like it could be fucked up. But Peterson is good developing quarterbacks. He had Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is going to be MVP of the year. The Eagles won a Super Bowl if he doesn't get hurt in like early December. He would have been MVP. And I don't know like if that would have changed the trajectory of his career at all, but he would have been MVP. And so he can do work with young quarterbacks, and so I think he'll do work with Lawrence.
D+. Byron Leftwich was the clear best hire. You're bringing in Doug Peterson. Don't get me wrong. He had 2 very average quarterbacks that he turned into very good quarterbacks in Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. But we've seen what he does when there's a power struggle between him and the higher ups. He benches quarterbacks halfway through the third in a game where the other team might or might not be getting into the playoffs. I don't know, unless he got all the assurances in the world. I don't know if this is going to go well from a power issue between him and whoever the VP or GM is. That being said, that team's not very good, right? It's not like they have all the pieces. I don't know how this is going to help that team at all. I hope I'm wrong for Trevor Lawrence's sake, but this could be a real messy year for them. So I just don't know how it makes them any better other than at the quarterback position. So from a team that needs a lot of help.
All right, James, then K-Dot last because he's chomping at the bit.
F-. This This is the ultimate kick.
Did you say F minus?
Yep, this is the ultimate kicking the can down the road.
Not
higher.
a grade, but I like it.
Yeah, like the ultimate kicking the can down the road higher. Everybody knows shit. Even Doug Peterson knows that they wanted Leftwich. Leftwich said, "Hey, I can come there, but I'm not fucking with the GM." And then he kept the fucking GM. You remember the Jaguars fan that was able to sit in Goodell's chair that one year? She follows us on Twitter. So I was talking with her about that shit, and she was explaining the reason why like all the fans are wearing the fucking clown mask because bulky or whatever. And this kind of just seems like, all right, the Jags actually want this shit to be their fucking uniform come by the middle of next year. Like, you're just going to see a bunch of clown masks all over the fucking stadium at this point. Like, I think, and then she was saying how he's doing this shit to try to get them to send the team to London. Because if the fans don't show up, like stop showing up, that gives them more of a reason to move the team to London. And you remember they were talking about that shit a couple years ago.
Yeah, they were.
And I think he's trying to make that shit happen. So, yeah, this is the ultimate kick the can down the road higher, and it's some bullshit.
I hope Doug Peterson likes those little fucking meat pies or whatever.
Yeah.
Can I give this an A+ and also admit it's going to crash and burn? So like, is
that why?
So
it's got to be strictly personal reasons for the A+.
So I think Doug Peterson, as far as any coaching candidates that's out there, as far as a proven track record and pedigree, is the second best available coach, period. Behind Jim Caldwell, who I still don't understand hasn't been number one people's candidates for years, ever since he left. Peterson has the pedigree. He's got a Super Bowl. He won said Super Bowl with Nick Foles, Big Dick Nick, over Carson Wentz on his MVP campaign.
Couldn't wait to say his name.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Nickname.
It's his nickname. It's fucking whatever.
Just continue. Go ahead.
Thank you. The other aspect of it is it's going to crash and burn with the Trent Baalke fucking Doug Peterson relationship, because if you can see what happened at the end of the Philadelphia experiment, which is you could tell after Carson Wentz got put back in the driver's seat, he was never the same. And you hear the stories that came out of Philadelphia that there was like weeks, I think the longest was like 8 or 9 weeks at one point, that Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson didn't talk to each other, was something that happened at some point. Because, ownership in Philadelphia with Jeffrey Lurie are always involved. They don't catch as much flack for it, but they're very much like Jerry Jones and Dan Snyder, always involved in what's fucking going on. I think Doug Peterson and what Jacksonville could do, I disagree with you, Ryan. I think Jacksonville actually has some really exciting pieces.
They do.
James Robinson, Travis Etienne, that as far as a tandem in the backfield, if Doug Peterson does it right, with Trevor Lawrence, who at the end of this season, I heard a story about Trevor Lawrence before the end of the last game, for the first time went up to everybody in the locker room and said, "We're not fucking losing this game." And he was serious about it. And you can get this vibe from Trevor that he's like, look, I know what everybody's saying about me coming to Jacksonville. I know what everybody's saying about, he probably knows what I personally been saying about him going to Jacksonville. And it's, fuck this. No, it's not going to happen that way. And a thing that Doug Peterson also doesn't get enough credit for, there's a lot of aspects of the game that we see week in and week out that he kind of revolutionized. And I don't think people are giving that enough credit. The going forward on fourth down, as often as you're seeing in the league, he was at the forefront of that with Philadelphia. The going for it for 2, depending on the situation early in the game, is something that he was doing. That team is going to be feisty as fuck. And it'll still crash and burn after a fucking argument in the offseason between Baalke and something else. Because what'll end up happening is that Trevor Lawrence is going to have okay numbers. They're going to win games, and they're going to fall in love with some other quarterback or some other personnel decision that Doug Peterson's not going to work, and it's going to be over. And that's how it works, because it's fucking Jacksonville.
Yep, I can see Trevor Lawrence going to a different team and killing it.
I think this Doug Peterson thing at least elongates his career enough where I'm not quite, I already said he was in the tank bust, not because of the talent level, because of where he's going. I think Doug Peterson can salvage that if they get along. And I think the only reason that Doug Peterson had met with them that early is that he likes Trevor Lawrence. This is why I think he was in it. And I think what probably happened behind the scenes is that Doug Peterson probably said in that meeting, what the fuck is up with your GM situation? What's up with that? And they said, look, we'll wait until the end of the season. We want to talk to some other candidates. We want to do this whole thing. They fell in love with the Byron Leftwich thing because, Byron Leftwich is still beloved in Northern Florida. He was the quarterback they drafted, was like the prodigal son after Brunel, to be the dude to take them on whatever it is they were going to do. They love him there. The idea that you bring him back is a big marketing thing. And we know Jacksonville likes to sell some fucking jerseys and all kinds of shit with Tebow, right? So, it just makes sense. But I applaud Byron Leftwich. Just a mini shout out. I appreciate, even though there's a dearth of black coaches in the National Football League, for you to see through the bullshit and not settle. And settling for that GM position the way it is, and settling for that front office the way it is without having the input, and not being, and I feel sorry for him, David Culley 2.0, good job, Byron. Great fucking job. Stick to your goddamn guns.
I think he's going to take over for Bruce Arians. And I
completely
think Eric Bieniemy might be in the same boat.
Hey, shit. We forget to always shout out Bruce Arians, who's got the blackest goddamn coaching staff in the National Football League, as this white dude. Love it.
Yep. So I don't want to spend too much time on the last two hires because they just weren't that impressive to me. So I just want to, I want you guys to give grades for each of them, and we can kind of expand on something else. So Flores, that's what I'm going to call him. I know it's not how you pronounce it. I know that, but that's what I'm going to say because I think it's, yeah. And then him to the Bears and Nathaniel Hackett to Denver. I want to give both of those grades. I want to give Flores a D. And I want to give Nathaniel Hackett a C+ with the potential to be an A if they get Rodgers. If they don't get Rodgers, it's shit. It's shit. It's stupid as fuck. It's dumb as shit. It doesn't make any fucking sense if they don't get Rodgers. But if they do, hey, great job, guys. You lured them from Green Bay. You got them. But if they don't, it's going to be a fucking failure of a hire. And that's my opinion. But Flores could prove me wrong with the Bears. I really wanted them to get a more offensive-centric coach, but they went defensive coordinator, which, hey, defense wins championships. Apparently, when you look at it historically, technically defensive coaches have a better pedigree being head coaches. But I really wanted them to pair somebody with Justin Fields to, kind of do work, but he could prove me wrong for sure. Nathaniel Hackett, I don't think would prove me wrong at all. So, yeah, James, you want to go?
Yeah. So, quick question. Flores came from the Colts, right?
Yeah,
the Colts had a pretty good defense.
Yeah, they did.
Now, I get what you're saying. You wanted to go more offense, but for example, let's say the Bears get Mike McDaniels. I'm Mike McDaniel. I keep throwing his name out there, but if they get him, then it's all right, this is pretty good because their defense wasn't living up to that. Yeah.
Well, they already hired an OC.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. Who's the OC?
Luke Getsy. He was the play caller and coordinator for Green Bay, the passing game coordinator for Green Bay.
So, Keem, the hire shit sucks. The fuck. All right. But the worst one is Denver, and I'm really happy because fuck Denver. They're not going to be good, and I'm going to love every second of it. They're going to have the worst QB in the division again. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going there. I hope he's not. I pray to God he's not, but we'll see. We'll fucking see. But yeah, I don't see the point. It's none of them are sexy, like you said. So, fuck Denver.
So I will give Eberflus. I'll give him a B.
No, Flores sounds so much better.
Eberflus. Sounds like a German flower.
Eberflus.
I'll give him a B.
All right, yo, we disrespecting this man. How do you actually pronounce his name?
It's Eberflus.
All right, Eberflus. All right, cool.
He is the Chicago Bears' strength is their defense currently. He was a linebackers coach when the Dallas linebackers were good, and they have been good for decades. He was a good defensive coordinator. Good defensive hire in Indy. Their defense was very good.
Yeah.
The Bears have a good core defense. Start there. Give Justin Fields some time to mature. get the ball in his hands. The Denver coaching hire gets, as James would say, an F-. It's grasping at straws at this point, and I don't know if they have any straws left.
They should have hired Flores.
Straws are empty. There's a straw container. They're paper straws. They're gonna melt in your drink.
Matt Eberflus is I like the Bears going defensive heavy. That's just typical success for the Chicago Bears. Means getting a tough-minded, just gritted out defensive football guy, right? And then Luke, the other things that are happening with Chicago, as far as Ryan Poles getting the GM position, who's 36 years old, black dude, former player, was with the Chiefs in their front office, getting the role there. Luke Getsy coming from Green Bay. He was the passing game coordinator because they got a lot of offense coaches. And talking about coaching trees, I consider all this the Washington football team coaching tree. If we're talking about the Matt LaFleur and everything else,
and none of them are with y'all,
and none of them are with us, which is why I'm making a point to say it, is because of how fucking incompetent we are as an organization. We had all this fucking talent and we didn't do shit with it.
Wasn't Mike McDaniel there too?
All of them. Like Nathaniel Hackett.
Wait, who's the OC?
Huh?
Yeah, who's the OC at the time?
Between the Shanahan era, then there's a little bit of the Jay Gruden
Wasn't
era.
McVay there too?
All of them are there. Okay, half the coaches in the NFL come from Washington at some point, especially all the young, hot upstart guys. The Nathaniel, the Eberflus, I'm giving a C, just because jury's out. I like the idea, or I say B- because I like the idea. Nathaniel Hackett is completely contingent on whether or not they get Aaron Rodgers. Like everybody said before me, if they don't get Aaron, I don't know what the fuck they're doing over there. Tough luck.
Never be in Denver. I love it.
A year or two. That's John Elway. He goes all in for the thing he wants at that moment, and that's the only thing that matters, right? Yeah. So that one is I'll give that a D just because it's dependent on Aaron, and even if Aaron goes there, he ain't gonna be doing much coaching.
I did forget one head coach.
I was gonna bring that up.
And so the Vikings decided not to go with Jim Harbaugh. And they went with Kevin O'Connell as their new head coach, who is the Rams OC. And quick, let's keep this quick because we have a couple more things to hit. But thoughts on that? We can start with Ryan.
I don't know why they fired Zimmer to begin with.
Because he's shit.
Yeah,
he is shit, but it's not all his fault.
It is.
They have a good team, right? So if you slot someone in there that's even half competent, they should be a playoff contender.
That's why Zimmer's not there.
Yeah.
I was like,
and they need to widen their goalposts a little bit, so that they can make some more of those kicks. But other than that, it's like slotting somebody in who's less bad, right? Like you're like, we have a good team. We just need someone less bad. So that's what they did. It's a fine hire. I give it a B.
Yeah, where did he come from again?
Rams OC. I'm giving him a B. That's it. That's my thoughts.
Same here, because I mean, like, yeah, the Rams had fucking all the stars in the world, so B. And Sean McVay was basically running that offense anyway, so B. We'll see.
I just hate the idea of the Sean McVay tree. Like they tried that, like right after they went to the Super Bowl, and everyone was like, "Oh," but after we hired them, they don't do the things that Sean McVay did, and it's like, "Duh, bitch."
It's just Sean McVay. There's no tree.
It's the Washington football team tree. Thank you very much. And
no,
it's the Washington Commanders tree. Thank you very much.
If you want to call it,
I can't wait to get into that.
If you want to call it what it really is, as far as Kevin O'Connell was the offensive coordinator under Jay Gruden in 2019. He wasn't with McVay at that particular point in time. He actually had the OC job with probably one of the craziest fucking seasons anybody's ever had to come up with any quarterback. The fact that he made it through that still kicking, I think gives him fucking credit. It's actually one of my favorite of all the coaching moves, just because of also what they're doing with their front office. I like this as far as what they're doing on offense. They have all the firepower possible on offense, and getting somebody that can speak to Kirk Cousins is going to be a major thing. And these are all people that have a relationship with Kirk Cousins from Washington from years back.
How did y'all do when he was there years back?
The talent was dearth of anything on certain sides of the football at any given point in time. But Kirk Cousins absolutely produced every time that he was in the Washington uniform. which is why he fucking got all those goddamn contracts.
That's the second time
because he was in Washington.
I think he's done better. He did better in Washington than he did in Minnesota, just in the sense of the amount of talent that he had and what he was producing there for it. I actually think he did an amazing job in Washington to a certain degree.
You like that?
Nobody did an amazing
remember, we got that quote from there. We got no quote. There's no Kirk Cousins quotables in Minnesota. Okay, we still got it from Washington.
The gritty. All right, what's next?
Okay, all right. So next let's stay on Washington. Speaking of Washington, let's stay on Washington. Washington team owner Daniel Snyder must give permission before findings of the NFL investigation into them can be made public. I want your thoughts on that, as well as the fact that they named the Washington football team the Commanders, which is stupid as shit. Obviously, those are my thoughts. But I want your thoughts on that. And so let's start with Kadeem.
Wait, can I just say something? That is not an NFL ruling. That is Congress saying.
Yeah.
Congress, the Congress peoples.
Based on a mutual agreement.
Said that. It's not like the NFL came out and was like, well, we're not releasing it unless he said it. Congress said that.
Congress found the paperwork. They are the ones that said it. The NFL is saying that they have authority to do so. And Dan Snyder saying that he doesn't have authority to do so. So they're still protecting Dan. What do you want from me first?
I want your Daniel Snyder thoughts first.
He's a cocksucker son of a bitch. He's a piece of shit. All right. We like all the stories we've heard about Dan. Trust me, there's tons of stories you can hear from anybody that's ever worked in Ashburn, from the no making eye contact with the man to you got to call him a certain name to just the way that the aura in which he carries himself out and out of that building. There's nothing that I can't believe had happened. And hearing the testimony there from Tiffany Johnston about what he did as far as putting his hand on her thigh and also getting her or trying to push her into the car where only his lawyer said, hey, Dan, this is not a good idea. Really, really bad idea, Dan. The way that even in the statements that he's making, he's got to point out these allegations from 13 years ago. You're just being a cocksucker at this point, man. You're just being a dick. Like there's one way to deny allegations compared to then trying to really shit on everybody when at the end of the day, even if the personal allegations aren't true, guess what, sir? You were the one to put everybody in position to do the things that they were doing. And to think that right now, before this scandal broke, you were 60% owners of the team. Then you paid a $10 million fine. And then you bought the other 40% of the team. And now you own more of it. And they fined you $10 million. And we're all supposed to say, hey, yeah, you learned your lesson. Then there's also, all right, so you're supposed to give up. You're supposed to give up the day-to-day or the operation of the team. We see you on TMZ flying with Jason Wright to look at different stadiums for 2027. We see you there at the Commanders launch. We also hear Ron Rivera say on TV that, hey, I met with the owners after the season to talk to them about how the season went. Yeah, Dan's right there. Then not to mention Tanya, who's supposed to be taking over his wife. They don't fucking talk about what's happening with the team. It's fucking horseshit. If you're Dan Snyder yourself, even if you look at all the allegations that you're saying personally have been accused, if you remove that, and you can't, but if you remove that from the equation, you still fucked up by being the head guy in charge, and everybody else was personally picked out by you that were allowed to do this shit for years without getting called on that shit. And when they say everybody's changed from that point, no, you're still here, asshole. You're still fucking here, and you need to go. And I got all these thoughts as far as Dan and what it is that the league is doing, from the John Gruden emails to where I think all of this is blown up because of a personal rift between him and Bruce Allen. The fact that our bullshit has spilled over, there's been enough horseshit in Washington to spill out that might take down the commissioner of the National Football League. I'm just saying, you got to pat us on the back. When we do evil, we do it big, baby. We do it big, Washington style. You know, we get political in it. It just feels like a fucking movie when we do that shit. So that's it. Dan's just a dick. He's always been an asshole, and he needs to go. Cool.
I picked the right time to get out of Washington.
Fuck off. You fucking, and your bills are at home, you bitch. Beyond that, I don't want to hear your shit.
Dan Snyder's in front of Congress. At least he's
no, he's not. He's not. I want to see that happen. I doubt that'll happen, but I'd love to see him sweating in front of fucking Congress.
No way.
He should.
Yeah, trust me. There's so much. There's so many threats. I actually think I want to do a full episode on just what's happening with the league and behind the Brian Flores, what happened off the John Gruden emails, and what's happening with the Washington football team. I think that's a 2-hour long podcast if you really want to go into details of it. The Commander's name. Look, I like the name. But I've come on here and I've said it for the last 2 months that I've known it's going to be the fucking Commanders, that I've been okay with the name. Because I think across almost anything in sports, every name sounds pretty fucking stupid until you get used to it. If anyone said that we're going to name the football team in New York, the New York Football Giants, who the fuck? What? Oh, you're going to be the Packers.
Sounds cool. Sounds fun.
Fuck you. There are a few teams. The Saints make sense for being in New Orleans. The Ravens make a lot of sense. Actually, a really deep cut as far as Edgar Allan Poe and the poem makes sense, right? There are certain organizations that you can look at when it comes to the history of the team, and it kind of makes sense. I don't know why you're pointing at there were fucking pirates all over California at some point. The fucking
the Gold Rush.
Yeah, bitch. Fuck off. The 49ers make sense. The Raiders do not. So it
sounds good.
Yeah, fucking Jack Sparrow just fucking cruising through.
Hey, talk about your team. Stop talking about mine. Don't deflect.
You brought your own team.
You're fucking pointing at your shit.
All right. I did it one time. Shut up.
I responded once.
Go back to your shit.
Look, I think the team name's fine. They didn't fuck up. It's not Wizards. And I think everybody's going to be fine with the Commander name the same way that, like, when they said Washington football team, everybody's kind of like, you didn't even fucking name the team anything. And now there's like 40% of the fan base saying, we should have just kept Washington football team. You fucking idiots. Shut the fuck up. Like, most of them are just angry because we're angry that we lose and our owners on fucking television making us look like jackasses and making us ashamed to follow the team because we feel like villains. I get it. We just want to be angry at shit. I understand. The jerseys, the home jerseys, I think are fire. The black jerseys, depending on the photo, I think they're kind of cool. The away jerseys, whatever that red white gradient is that make us look like we are some like generic Cardinals, Falcons fucking bullshit. I don't know who thought that was okay. It was fucking dog shit.
I know who.
And the pant combination of the pant combinations that they had with the jerseys look dumb as fuck. Outside of that, I do love the home jersey. I love the home jersey. And beyond all that, the entire release, typical Washington shit. You listen to the fan base? No, you didn't. We're going to do a bunch of misdirection. Motherfucker, there were news choppers up that caught the Commanders launch at the stadium before you fucking released it. Yeah, lots of misdirect, Jason. I just hate that, like, everyone, when they reach this franchise, gets that Washington stank on them, and I don't think you'll ever be able to wash it off unless you're part of the coaching tree.
So, my thoughts on Dan Snyder are that I think some of the stuff he's done is criminal, and he should probably serve some jail time. As far as the Commander's name, the team's going to be irrelevant for the next 10 years, and by the time they're important again, we'll have all gotten used to it. So it's pretty much a non-story.
Go rolling off a Niagara in a fucking barrel, you piece of shit.
All right, so King, let me get my shit over real quick. All right, I got three things. Number one, the black helmets, like Wario, like the Wario hat. That shit was funny.
That W is the Wario W.
It's the Wario symbol.
It's really stupid.
It's fucking dumb. Two, K-Dot, you love the white jerseys, but
no, the red jerseys. I hate the white jerseys.
Okay, the white jerseys aren't even burgundy. Like, you guys are burgundy and gold, right? Like, what the fuck?
I did hear something about that. They say that if you're actually in person, the problem with the colors through photo is that the gradient, the fact that they put the white under the red makes it look on camera like it's a different shade of red. But if you're in person, they said it looks identical to the other burgundy.
Now, that is a design issue, correct? And guess who had a big part in the design? Tanya Snyder, because she had like a background in fashion. So, like, yeah, you know what? Since Dan is at home serving his quote unquote suspension, I'm gonna do some shit. And she did some shit, literally. So
it's like, yeah, that's cool. So happy, it's cool. How much joy James takes in talking about this.
Nah, because, like, look, the black jerseys, like, or the black helmets is fucking fire. until I saw the W, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
The W alone is just rough. I don't like the
and
W.
It's like
if they're gonna get W's, guys, they wanna.
I'm holding.
They
back.
lost that game, didn't they? But didn't they lose that game?
Yes.
Brady did that shit.
Yes, they did. They got destroyed.
It's like, man, come on. But
I'm gonna throw
and they were talking about the jerseys and how it looks like a Pac-10 team, and it's like that's fucking Arizona State's like jerseys from like 2012. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean it's a non-story.
But I got to see it in person now. So, but it's like when you got the jerseys, a lot of people like take pictures of it. That's how you fucking see it the first time. But I guess I want to see it, like how it looks in person. So, K-Dot, whenever you buy a jersey, let me I want to see it.
I can't wait to get my first commies sweatshirt. Wear that around.
I love that shit. My nickname in like my early 20s was Fat Che. So like I'm all for it. So I'm just going. It works for me. There's gonna be China. It's like the Cowboys are America's team. The Washington's gonna be China's team. Here's the thing. I'm doing myself a disservice because none of you guys have brought this up, but I'm gonna bring it up myself. The Commander's name alone doesn't really make sense. No. Commanders don't go into battle. Commanders are not usually part of a team. They're just like you're the commander. Like if it's a collective, you call it like the command or the command center. Washington Command Center sounds dumb as shit.
The commanders are naval, right?
No, it could be more than that. But I know U.S. military, but the idea of like, all right, we're a bunch of individuals. It's
look,
just
man,
like
it don't matter, bro. It don't matter. Look, it don't matter because at the end of the day, what's gonna happen is Dan Snyder's gonna go in front of Congress. They're gonna find out some more shit. He's gonna be forced to sell the team. You're gonna have a new owner come in and change all the shit all over again.
I ain't like your attitude, Jack Sparrow, in your fucking head because he was rolling through Oakland, dumbass name.
You're so hurt right now, Kate.
I know it's like you can get it. Look, I just told you exactly what you actually want to happen.
Bitch on your goddamn hat.
Look, Keem, I told him exactly what he wanted to happen, and look at him lashing out.
Motherfucker,
I'm like, Dan Snyder's gonna sell the team, and you're gonna have a whole new team name. And he's like, yeah, with your fucking patch and Jack Sparrow.
Generic ass, fucking blind ass pirate with a football helmet because he got a disability.
Yep. Get all your anger out, man. Come on.
Muted. All right, Ryan, is that all of your thoughts on the Commander situation?
Yeah, like the Dan Snyder thing is a story. The Commanders is a total non-story. I mean, Washington.
It's not going to be the team name in 5 years anyway.
I don't think Dan Snyder will be around in 5 years. So
exactly,
the team will move the team probably
and change the name.
Change it again.
They have to.
I mean, but Commanders doesn't like the Redskins logo and the name had 80 years of history. Commanders is going to have 3 by the time the team rolls over. It's not like they're losing a whole lot of oomph and a whole lot of money by changing it again.
A lot of fans hate the name anyway.
This cost them roughly at a minimum $300 million to do, which in the grand scheme of things, what the fuck you pay for?
Like, bitch, pay me. I can give you something better than this.
Yeah, it was rough. It's rough. Just the whole layout is rough. The way that we rolled it out is rough.
Look what the Capitals got. Look at this. Gorgeous.
Hey, there was a lot of years it was not.
What? The 90s? Like
the 90s fucking bull? No, it was not. Come the fuck up.
Okay.
It was not.
Most people were wearing XXL jerseys and FUBU fucking jeans. Get the fuck out of here.
Just because Ted Leonsis gets a discount on red, white, and blue, so he's fucking doing everything.
Guys, we can't keep going. We can't keep going.
No, Keem, say your favorite team logo so K-Dot can get mad at that too.
No, move on.
He's going mad at everybody.
Guys, we can't.
You like the Ravens, right? K-Dot, what you think about the Ravens?
How many fucking Buffaloes are in Buffalo, dipshit?
What?
He just said he liked Edgar Allan Poe for the Ravens, so I'm not even going to get into it.
All right, what NBA team you like? The Hornets?
We're not going to get into it.
So I just want to shit and fucking
God damn it! Everybody's muted.
Tom Brady retired.
Holy shit! Tell me more.
Tom Brady has retired from the NFL, arguably, or at least what most people think, the greatest quarterback of all time. And some people think the greatest athlete of all time. We'll get into that on an episode of Unequal Opinions. And so outside of that,
he's not,
I just want you guys' thoughts on Tom Brady retiring. We'll start with James.
Okay. Congratulations, GOAT. I would appreciate it if he had the opportunity to do it himself, but Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington, I think that's his name. They ruined it, but it's not. I don't want it to seem like everybody's outraged now just because it's Brady. No, they do this all the time. Like anytime an athlete retires, like they'll say there's a press conference at this time because so and so's announcing that they're retiring.
It's
before they get to do
job.
it. Yeah, but I don't like that.
Well,
like this is their no. I don't like when they do that. That's just not be a part of their job. Athletes should be able to do that shit on their own, if how they want to do it, because this is their final act as a player. They say, all right, my career's over.
Now, somebody inside the circle leaked that. It's not just, they didn't randomly get it. So if you should be mad at somebody.
Jeff Darlington was supposed to be in the circle and he's the one who leaked it, but okay, whatever.
So don't tell that guy then, right? You know what reporters' job is to do? Is to get news before everybody else and then publish that shit.
Like I said, as an athlete, I would rather.
If that's not the part of your job that you like, then you can't.
And Tom himself said that he would rather do it. So fuck you and how you think about it. It's about how he thinks about it, and he didn't like it. So
you're pointing at K-Dot, but go ahead. You're funny.
No, I wasn't pointing. I wasn't pointing at K-Dot. I was not pointing at nobody.
Know, but that's what I saw.
It's like what? Tom Brady's supposed to be over here. Tom Brady's over here somewhere. So I'm like him.
Yeah, I've officially announced my retirement now. Look, Dan, the fuck is that from? Tom.
God damn.
Tom.
What's up, Dan?
GOAT.
Salute.
Tom is the GOAT. Outside of that, the whole back and forth with Schefter. Brady got his revenge. He made Schefter look like a little bitch for a day. Like it was solid. Like it worked out. I understand Schefter wanted to be first to do it. I disagree with it's completely up to the athlete to decide when to do it. Organization still has to make fucking decisions. Like you can waffle back and forth, just make the fucking decision. I do appreciate that he did it in a timely manner. I don't know if he does it in the same time frame if Adam Schefter says anything, but I think Giselle was probably forcing the issue a bit. And I also think that he kind of wants to get out of Dodge before it gets talked about too much that he was on that boat with Stephen Ross and fucking Brian Flores. But outside of that, yeah, he's the fucking GOAT. Like it's gonna be insane to me that I'm gonna be watching football on Sundays and Tom's not playing. It's fucking weird, man. Like it's just God. Like when you were bringing up the Tuck Rule, I'm like, fucking, that was 20 years ago. Y'all still talking about that shit? And it was like, yeah, it's been that long since I've been watching Tom on my TV every Sunday. It's just cool. I'm gonna miss that. I think the world's gonna miss that. But the same way that like your parents get to say that, like, or my dad said, like, I remember Jim Brown. And I'm like, God, I just wish I could have turned on the TV and see that dude play. I got to see Tom. And like, that's fucking cool. I got to see all of Tom's career. I got to be there, not knowing what the aftermath or what the outcome was going to be in any of these matchups. And I got to see it all happen. I got to be a part of that Brady magic. The same way that some of these young kids don't understand like the aura of Allen Iverson because they never really saw him play. And then when everything's analytical and he's like, not that great when you're looking at that. But I remember what it was like when he came to town, and to see that man play was like, that's a fucking must see fucking thing. Tom was the shit and will forever be the shit. And if he decides to come back in a year from now, I wouldn't be completely surprised.
Nah, he already selling pants.
Yeah, good riddance. I hope he stubs his toe every day from now on.
He don't play no more, so I
what's the hate for?
Yeah. Well,
you weren't even a Buffalo fan when he was in New England. You're that fucking bitch.
I've hated New England my whole life. Celtics won everything for a while, then it was the fucking
motherfucker.
Patriots,
you became a Buffalo Bills fan, and he was playing the NFC South. I don't want to hear your shit. What's this hate?
Speaking.
First of all, I'm older than all of you, so I have been hating him since the day he stepped into the league because he was successful. Has nothing to do with what team I was rooting for.
Ass motherfucker right there.
Yeah, fuck him. No, but
speaking
honestly,
of,
he is the greatest quarterback.
I feel like there was another point of this that I didn't fail to mention, where we haven't talked about yet, and I don't know why.
Good.
I feel like there's another facet of the Tom Brady thing. I just can't remember. Does anybody remember? Is there another part of this? No? All right, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
He's retired. We don't have to talk about him anymore.
Okay. So I would like to pivot to the championship games, which we haven't talked about, basically, guys, where we had Chiefs, Bengals in the AFC, and we had an NFC 49ers, Rams. And so I thought we got a pretty good championship Sunday. The theme continued throughout, which has been the theme throughout the playoffs, of close games, tight-knit wins, just a fucking clutch play being the reason that you're fucking advancing. Joe Burrow and the fucking Bengals did it. Matt Stafford and the fucking Rams did it. So I want you guys' thoughts on that, and I want to start with Ryan.
Evan McPherson is the coldest motherfucker in the league. Again, as he was walking out to kick the ball, he turned to his team and said, "Guess we're going to the Super Bowl," and then fucking drills it. Obviously, like everybody else, I thought the Bengals were completely out of it in the first half. I was like, well, it's going to be 55-7. Bengals are special this year, right? The Chiefs have had their issues. And unfortunately, they had their issues in the second half of the AFC title game. But they put up 3 points in the second half, I think. If you can hold that offense to 3 points, you are doing something correctly. The Bengals are special this year. I'm not going to gamble next weekend on the game, but my heart's going to be rooting for the Bengals for sure. So they're a fun fucking team to watch, man. Never out of it. Never out.
I think the Chiefs did a lot of things wrong,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the second half. The Bengals, look, I said it here, and I know I caught flack from the two guys down there about the fact that, like, I said Joe Burrow is the most natural leader, like, in the NFL, and that he's just a dude that exudes that level of confidence and makes everybody around him better. And you even see that with that fucking kicker, Evan McPherson. These dudes never feel as though they're out of a game ever. And it's just cool to see Joe Burrow kind of rock that way. And you see the way that, like, the mic'd up relationship between, like, him and Jamar Chase, which all those pieces matter, right? Like, I'm not going to say who Joe Burrow is without having that teammate there that he knows and has that history with. I just think, look, it's a perfect combo. Let's just keep going, right? Except get hit less, Joe. But just the
1 sack.
Yeah, but that whole vibe, the Patrick Mahomes thing, I don't know what happened in that game that he reverted back to the guy that he was week 4. Save him from Brittany and fucking that piece of shit brother. Like, get him out of that situation. He's fucking his head up. He's Saquon Barkley with the ball.
I just want to. You say get him out of that situation, like his family members are a situation.
Did you
like,
ever see the video of him, Brittany, and what's the brother's name?
Jackson
doing the dances in the restaurant,
and he looks
like,
super. I don't want to be here.
Come on, like, can you imagine? Like,
I can't. That's
because we would have gone the fuck off.
I've been the fuck out.
But I think Patrick's trying to be everything to everybody all the time, and it's not sustainable, bro. You're gonna have too much.
Is not a whack individual.
The wackest individual, right? Like, it's just bad. Matt Stafford, my number 1 pick as far as anybody in free agency last year. I'm glad to see where they're at. LA is just a fun fucking team. I love everything that they do. I love Sean McVay. I think their jerseys are the best in football, and I fucking hated them before they announced them. I love their color combos. Look, they look like Blockbuster IKEA employees, but I'm down with it. And they're just fun to watch. And I can't wait to predict the game because I still don't even know which way I'm going to go with it.
Okay. So looking back at our predictions from last week, it looks like only Ryan and I picked the Bengals to win. I feel like we got a lot of shit when we said the Bengals are going to win.
Y'all got a lot.
You did because it didn't fucking make sense. You saw that fucking first half. You did get fucking shit because it doesn't make sense. You fucking pissing me off, James, because you didn't pick against the Chiefs out of 11 out of fucking 17 games in the regular season. But you like,
I told you why I picked against them, right?
I picked against them again. I feel like you picked against them last week too. Fuck that, James. I'm not trying to hear that shit this week. I don't care. They won. Good for them. Fuck the Eagles. They're gonna lose this week. Next week. I hope, because I don't want them to win.
Now, I'm glad you got your shit off. Now, when I picked the Bengals, I referenced the first game, and that's exactly what fucking happened in this last one. Like, it's the same shit. So, yeah, I told you why it was gonna happen, and
me and Keem both said that we wouldn't be shocked if Cincinnati won.
We did.
Okay,
we did.
It's like at this point, it's like
covering your ass,
game.
though. Like,
it was honest.
No, because I said the Rams would blow out the 49ers because I thought they would.
They were supposed to, but you saw the reasons why they didn't. Like, why
I thought that was
that receiver running that route, like that random ass route that he should have caught for a touchdown. It's like, why him? Who the fuck is that guy? You had like 4 other receivers better than him. Why would you have him in that point in time running that fucking route? It's stupid, but whatever.
I saw it coming.
Neither did the fucking receiver. That's why he dropped the damn ball.
That's
all
right.
right. So
I said no one.
Now, are we only talking about the Bengals and Chiefs at this point?
No, you talking about Rams and 49ers too.
Okay. Rams and 49ers, we all picked the Rams. Star-studded team. Like, yeah. We all knew it was gonna happen. Yeah, they beat them twice during the regular season, but they didn't have everybody there like the way they should have been there. And Jimmy G is still Jimmy G, which is why I hope he goes to Washington. So there's that.
Bully ball didn't work. Billy ball.
Because he can command a team, right, James? He can command a team.
Shut your fucking Edgar Allan Poe loving ass up. Like, read me a poem, bitch. And it.
All right, so I can't anymore today.
Read me a poem.
You know what? We're gonna write you a poem about Washington.
Make it a hot, cool motherfucker.
Sure, it'll be short and
it's gonna be very Wale.
Daniel Snyder's going to jail. Going to jail tonight. Done.
I mean, we knew how that game was going to end. It was just closer than it should have been.
Yeah.
The Niners defense is good, right?
Yeah.
But Jimmy G is going to Jimmy G. And they don't have enough firepower to couple with their defense to beat the Rams. But I think this Super Bowl matchup is going to be very, very fun to watch.
I agree with that. And
Ryan should get a head coaching job too.
Before we completely get off of 49ers Rams, can we talk about Shanahan real quick? Just real quick.
Nico, sorry.
Gave up the biggest lead in Super Bowl history and a couple of other ones, but and now the biggest lead in the FC Championship history. There are 4 of them, but I'm only going to name these 2 where he's given up the biggest lead in whatever history.
Yeah, I think it was like every fucking level.
That's not a good thing.
Regular season, wild card, championship, Super Bowl, or no, divisional.
It was divisional,
championship, Super Bowl, and probably wild card.
Yes,
or regular season. One of those
history. 2. It was.
It's like, fam, make some fucking adjustments, or stick to what the fuck you doing and don't adjust. Like, do one of them. Whichever one you're not doing, do that. Do the opposite.
The less you do, the more you do. Well, now you're just not doing anything.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan's a member of the Washington football team coaching. He's gonna get it right.
Hey,
you know, everybody's got it
everywhere.
You can't
Everybody
even
makes
say
history.
Commanders.
Everyone
can't even say Commanders yet.
All right, I'm not used to it. I'm still not used to it. But so the Washington Commander football coaching tree. I fucked that up. The
DC Defenders coaching tree just sounds better. DC Defenders, that's fire.
It's already a team.
That whole league went under. Steal the name. It cost like $8.
Well, as a matter of fact, the Commanders were a San Antonio like AAFL team. Never mind. I'm out.
Okay, moving on.
All right. So our last topic. Shams reported earlier this week that basically, and I guess as recently as yesterday, that the Nets are now open to trading Ben Simmons for James Harden. And so pivoting from football, I just want you guys' thoughts. I mean, trade deadline is coming up for the NBA. It's February 10th. And Harden for Ben Simmons might be a thing. Like it was rumored to be a thing, like maybe this summer after the Brooklyn Nets maybe, gave it a shot to win an actual title with their top three players together. But now they're saying, hey, it might happen before the trade deadline on Thursday. Do y'all think they just blowing smoke up our ass, or is this like a real thing? And if so, like, what do you think about it?
I think it's a real thing, and Daryl Morey is a fucking genius if he pulls this shit off. Because they're always shitting on him as far as they need to pull the trigger on Ben. His trade value was so fucking low after that playoff series. Everybody saw him give that up. The fact that he is built into actually having something of value again is to me is just tremendous. And the fact that Philadelphia, while they're not winning as many games as they would with Ben, they are winning fairly well. And Joel is having an incredible season, even though you got to worry about where Joel is going to end up a season from now, 2 seasons from now in that frame. I love this move, but to me, at the end of the day, if you're hearing names like Bradley Beal being attached to moving for Ben Simmons, if you're in that territory as far as getting to Bradley Beal, where he doesn't have to be the number one banana, or James Harden in a city that might have a few better strip clubs, like any which way in which you can get that guy to come in and be a piece and help Joel out, only catapults the Sixers if they're able to pull this off before the trade deadline, which is incredible.
This is a terrible trade for the Nets. This is a really good trade for Philly.
The Nets don't work.
I kind of think it depends with the Nets, because if you get Ben Simmons and then you get they'd have to include like Maxey or Curry in that trade as well. So like the role players the problem with the Nets is they don't have enough depth. And it's because they traded their fucking depth for James Harden, which they should have never just traded Karis LeVert and those guys and Spencer Dinwiddie. Like they would have enough depth.
I'm glad they traded LeVert. I'm glad they traded LeVert.
Jared Allen,
I'm very happy for that.
30 boards and 20 points last night. That Jared Allen?
Yeah. But if they didn't trade LeVert, they wouldn't have found the shit that was wrong with him.
Oh, yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's fair.
But
that's fair.
Look, this is great for the Sixers. I don't think it's good for the Nets, but I don't think the Nets are good for the Nets. This obviously Ben he's a non-factor right now, right? So if you can move him for a stud like James Harden on a team that is already playing at a pretty high level, the Sixers will be a problem. I mean, they already kind of are, although they like to lose to the Wizards for some reason. But I mean, I think Ben Simmons is a fucking clown. I don't know how he's going to help the Nets, but I like Joel, so I'd like to see him succeed. So putting Harden on that team, it'd be cool to watch. But I think it's a dumb trade for the Nets if it's just straight up. So
I'm saying it's been year 3 of this Nets experiment.
Yeah,
well, they haven't all been healthy for like.
I don't give a shit. It's been 3 years, and like these guys could have been in other situations, other scenarios, actually winning shit.
If we're just talking about James Harden for Ben Simmons, there's a huge disparity. Plus, what does Ben Simmons even shoot anymore? I don't know what he's doing. He had to pawn 9 of his Ferraris. He's had to pawn all of his Ferraris because he keeps getting fined $100,000 a week.
But the defensive element that he will bring to that Brooklyn Nets team, and as far as if they get it, it's come on,
that's the thing.
Because like when the Nets came together, that was the one thing I said.
That's what they like. This makes sense. This just makes sense.
They've said that like one of the issues within the team that was reported today in the article that came out in The Athletic was that James Harden kind of like doesn't buy in as much as Kyrie and KD do into the like spreading the ball thing. Like Harden is more ISO heavy, which they've all done it. Kyrie, KD, and Harden have all like fell into making their offense more ISO heavy. But Steve Nash wants to be able to spread it out, run motion offense and things like that. And you can do that with the Ben Simmons. With the Ben Simmons, you also add a little bit of height to that. And that like defense, like you're talking about a defense that's now going to have, they can have 3 guys that can defend 6'8" and above. for the Nets, and like to beat the team that they're likely one of the teams that they're likely going to play in the finals. Not even to bypass the playoffs, because I think they're fine unless they except for maybe Milwaukee that can cause them some issues. But in the East, nope. And so like I think they're fine. I think Milwaukee will cause them some issues. I think they dispatch Miami in 6 and an easy 6, not a hard 6. And I think
you're talking about the Nets right now, right?
Yeah. I'm saying if they get that Ben Simmons presence.
Oh, if they get Ben Simmons.
Yes.
Okay.
And like so, like as far as like them being competent defensively, and I think they'd have enough defensive firepower, and you keep Kyrie. I think the biggest thing though, really for the Nets is, can Kyrie be full time come playoffs? Because if you're playing him like every other, like he's going to miss the first 2 games of each series, because right now there's the fucking 6th seed, and like he's going to miss the first 2 games, or he's going to play in the first 2 games and then they're going to miss the next 2, and then that's wonky as shit. Like that's crazy. Like you want to trade Kyrie before you trade Harden if you're thinking about it, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right, so if the Nets trade James Harden for Ben Simmons, they also need to get Andre Drummond, because they need a fucking center on that team.
They have nothing to trade. I don't know what.
Well, James Harden.
What are they going to trade?
James Harden.
Kyrie.
I actually think with Ben on that team, it's sort of positionless basketball. I don't think they need anything really. Yeah. I mean, if I'm looking at what it is they're going to do as far as going at it, like you want depth at everything beyond that, just having Ben on the team. It changes the dynamic of that team. Huh?
Who's the big man on the team?
I'm saying the big man is KD. Ben and KD. It's the combination of them too.
Ben Simmons can't guard a fuck. All right, whatever.
Yeah, he can.
Yes, he can.
He can guard a center.
Yes, he can. He's proven that time and time again.
Can he guard Embiid?
Outside of Joel Embiid,
okay,
who can't he guard?
I don't.
Right.
I would say. Wait, I didn't finish.
I know.
Yeah,
what the fuck you mean?
He's saying he won't be able to.
Yes.
Right.
I don't think he can guard Giannis.
Nobody can guard Giannis.
Nobody can guard Embiid, which is my point.
True. And then, but that's the point of getting Ben Simmons. Like,
but I'm saying
you put him on those guys.
What center? What center?
On them.
Wait, what center do you pick up that can guard Giannis or Joel Embiid?
Drummond. Like he's better than he's a bigger body.
Second 76ers now.
Huh? You say he's what?
Never mind. We're just gonna agree to disagree because
okay.
I
don't understand that. But looking at for like in terms of the Sixers, right? I mean, you got to make some sort of move because Joel Embiid he's had an injury history. So
they have Drummond.
Yeah, but like playing. Okay.
That trade.
You need more offensive help just besides Embiid.
Harden.
James Harden.
I know that's why I said you have to make a move at a certain point. You can't just have your best tradable asset just sitting off somewhere and not using it.
What are you talking about? Moving another center to the Nets. That's
okay, no. I said in regards to the Sixers, I moved to the Sixers again. I said you have to trade it. You have to trade Ben Simmons at this point.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I stopped talking about the Nets. I'm talking about the Sixers. You have to trade Ben Simmons.
We all agree with that. And I think everybody in America agrees with you too.
No, because everybody's been saying keep Ben Simmons until you get the best possible.
That's true.
That's it.
That's true.
What's happened?
You're going to do that. You're going to cut your nose and spite your face. Because
whoa. Wait,
hold on. Let me finish. Shit. We're not saying I'm not saying trade him for anything, but at the same time, I'm saying the longer you wait, the more wear and tear and stress you're going to put on Embiid, and he's going to get injured. That's all I'm saying.
The opportunity is here.
That's all I'm saying.
James Harden, and it's never going to get better.
I hope they make the move.
Yeah,
if they make the move, that's great.
So I think what you're arguing is, and I'm
not arguing anything. I'm not arguing anything. I'm just saying the fact.
But all right, I get what you're saying, right?
Okay.
But up until this point, there has never been a better time to trade Ben. We have now entered this range where it now is becoming a thing where Ben makes sense to move. If it happened 2 months ago, what for CJ McCollum and someone? Fuck off. Like now we're in Harden, Beal territory.
Yeah,
Morey made the right move.
Okay.
Bill's had an off year.
I would just to say, like, even I did this exercise with a few friends on like Friday just to see like just to show them like the difference. So if you trade Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal, what like are the Sixers a top three team in the East?
No.
Right. If you do it for Harden, are they?
Yes.
Difference.
100%.
That's it. Even if you trade him for Beal, it's not enough.
No, I get it, but I get that. I think that I do think Harden's absolutely an upgrade over Beal. But I'm saying that if we're looking at Ben Simmons' value, trade value this season up until this point, the fact that Beal's even in the conversation to me speaks to just how well the Daryl Morey holding on to Ben Simmons thing did work.
Yeah, he wasn't losing anything.
For sure.
He's
I agree with
Joel
that.
Embiid, right? Joel Embiid can carry you into the playoffs by himself. He can't carry you through it. So he's like, I'm going to hold out until I get something I like. And he did. Potentially.
I don't think it's going to happen this season. I don't think that happened. I don't think it's going to happen this season.
I think it's going to actually happen in the offseason.
I don't think it will either.
Yeah. And then it's like you wasted another year of Embiid.
I really like Morey, but I really hate his eels. Freak me out, dude. I don't know.
I see what you're saying, James. I just think like even if you trade for a Bradley Beal, it's not enough. So like you don't do it just to do it. And so like you wait until you get the right situation. Because like if you get, let's just say you get Beal, I don't fear them more than I fear Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday. I don't fear them like more than I fear like the Brooklyn Nets with Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and KD.
Do you think it'll be a straight up deal?
No, I mean there'll be some like maybe a couple other pieces in there or whatnot, but like even then it's like the Heat are better, the Bucks are better, and the Nets are better, and then you got like okay the Bulls and the Cavs, like okay you're probably better than the Bulls and the Cavs, but they weren't going anywhere anyway. They're just happy to be here.
And I still think at the end of the day, if they can't get this move pulled off, but they know that Brooklyn's actually interested, shut them down. Go into the offseason. Because my thing is like if you go in the offseason knowing that now I have Harden coming to the team, because I think it makes it that much easier in the offseason to pull this move off. Then you do it because like, all right, would you trade if you knew for a fact you could get Brad Beal right now, right? Or you take the chance that you could get Harden in the offseason? I take the chance.
All right. So then what happens if you don't get Harden in the offseason? What do you have?
Lost nothing.
I'm still where I'm at. I mean, I'm still probably trying. That offseason is where I'm probably trying to. I might settle. But I don't think the trade value goes up, not down.
Right, if you're Embiid, how would you feel about this?
Great. They're trying to make a move to bring me a good piece, not an okay piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they know my value to the team is so high that they're not just going to unload this clear piece of shit off this team just to get some return. They want a return to help me win. This is I was Joel Embiid, I would be through the roof. And they also have enough confidence in me to know that I can carry this team to the playoffs. Yeah, they're trying to get, but Joel Embiid cannot.
I said he can. He has. Exactly. He carries to the playoffs, but
right. But that's what I'm saying. They have enough confidence in me to know that I can do this. So they're not going to settle for someone who's not going to help me push this to a championship.
The only way I would trade for Beal, knowing that Harden might be available this summer, is like a situation where I've spoken to the Brooklyn Nets and I'm like, what's your interest in Beal? In case, you know what I'm saying? Would you prefer Beal or would you prefer Ben Simmons? And I will be like, just straight up like, hey, if I can go ahead and get Beal now. And like, hey, if this doesn't work out for us, then you guys can we can do something this summer.
You're assuming that Washington wants to swap Beal for Simmons.
We'll do it.
Wait, is James Harden a free agent in this offseason?
Player option. Him and Kyrie both have player option this summer. And that's why it must
the onus is on Brooklyn to make something happen.
Yeah, Brooklyn has to do something.
That's where it's at.
They were saying yeah, I don't want to. We're not going to do anything for Harden, but they might need to.
Exactly.
I love you guys, but I've been sitting here for 3 fucking hours, and I don't like you guys for 3 hours. That's too.
That was the final.
Well, that was the last topic.
So, final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Don't understand.
Oh, the NHL All-Star game is significantly better than the NFL Pro Bowl. they're not even in the same category of watchability. Also, go USA. Olympics are on. Hockey's been good. The US women are dirty. They put up like 7 and then 5 on Russia. Fuck you, Russia. But yeah, the Olympics is going on. Hope everybody stays safe over there. My final thoughts. I do hate that it's at like 3 a.m. But
saw the bartenders in hazmat suits preparing drinks. So show. I know I said this a couple episodes ago, but I'm gonna reiterate it because I'm even going further down the train. I think I talked to Ryan about this before the pod started. South Korean shit on Netflix, baby. Since I've watched Train to Busan the last couple weeks, and then I watched Squid Game, I've then watched #Alive, which is an amazing movie that was on Netflix about a zombie apocalypse in South Korea. And now I've also watched We're All of Us Are Dead. If you haven't seen All of Us Are Dead, that is one of those things that you should really drop everything you're doing if I can give this thing a watch. It was amazing. And now I am currently halfway through the first season of another show called Kingdom, which is another South Korean flick. The way that I describe it is Game of Thrones in Korea if they spent more time with the White Walkers. It's fucking dope as shit. And like samurai swords, even is that racist? Because they're not samurai swords, it's Korea. My bad. So swords that they're using, but it's just fucking cool. And there are even some guns, like old school, like musket type shit. Like it's just so fucking cool to see. And I know that Netflix is putting a lot more money in South Korean in the South Korean film industry. So I'm really curious to see what else is coming out of it. But right now, I'm even fucking doing Duolingo at this point to fucking learn Korean because the number one things that I'm watching on TV right now are all being spoken to me in Korean. Also, I'm finally watching Mindhunter, which is I'm finally getting into Mindhunter, which is something that I know I've been looking forward to it because I'm a David Fincher stan. So
same.
So I don't have enough time to watch TV.
Look, I gotta watch Ozark. Apparently, I gotta watch fucking what's the Yellowstone in an 1883.
I heard that was good. Yeah,
1883 was really good.
And I gotta watch. So right now, I'm finishing Mindhunter, and then it's a toss up between Mayor of Kingstown or Euphoria. Will be the ones that I go through next. I just think Euphoria is just going to be too an emotional experience for me.
Okay. Cool. All-Star reserves were announced this week. LaMelo Ball did not make it along with Tyler Hero. As a Charlotte guy, it's just upsetting to see because the Hornets had been in basically the 7th or the A seed for so long, not to see him make it. His numbers are so similar to Darius Garland and Tyler Hero, and I think he's the best player on that team. It just sucks to not see him make it. LaMelo is one of my favorite young players to watch. Technically my favorite players right now are Steph Curry, Ja Morant, and then LaMelo Ball. And it just sucks to not see him because I think when you want to do All-Star, you have to add the fact of actual star power. Darius Garland deserves to probably make it because his team is doing better. He's came out and they've played so well, and he's played so well, helping to lead the Cavs. But he doesn't have any star power right now. He doesn't have as much as LaMelo. LaMelo's coming out with some he has a nice little shoe with Puma. They're nice. Obviously he had the Ball family on Facebook show. People have known him for years before he even became into the NBA. He's a star in his own right, and he's played like one, and he's led them like one. And I just feel like it just sucks to not be able to see him. I don't know if somebody's going to get injured. Maybe him or Hero could make it. And I hope that kind of happens. Maybe if there's someone who can't attend, I don't hope anyone gets injured. And so that just kind of sucks, but I might be going to see LaMelo and Ja Morant on Saturday. So that should be fun.
Dude.
The babysitter.
Another guy I think got snubbed, but because he plays for a garbage team, is DeJounte Murray, who is a triple-double machine on a team that's not very good, but is putting up just wicked numbers. But he's doing it by getting a triple-double. So he is getting 25, 12, and 15 every fucking game. And just because the Spurs are not that great, Pirtle's good, that team is going to be decent. But it's not so much of a snub. But if you look at his numbers, they're gaudy.
Anthony Edwards didn't make it, right?
No, but he shouldn't have. But no.
Okay.
Shout out to Cuzzo.
Karl Anthony Towns made it.
Shout out to Cuzzo. Andrew Wiggins made his first All-Star team. Well deserved, son.
Okay. My final thought is this. What are the Blazers doing? They're gonna I feel like Dame is gonna be gone at a certain point. Like he has to. And don't be surprised if the Jazz make a move, like a major move. There are reports going around again that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are having issues again, which we all kind of guess where it stems from. You remember Gobert is the one who stopped the NBA.
Well,
and yeah, things have been awkward between them ever since.
It got stopped like
900 it would have, but
anyway.
for it to happen the way it did, and for Donovan Mitchell to be as quote unquote embarrassed as he was at the time, for that to happen to him, I don't think their relationship has ever been the same, basically. And it looks like it got bad again. Not sure what happened there, but I could see a move happening.
Yep.
Wasn't Donovan Mitchell out for like a couple weeks? Didn't he just come back? Anyway, well, Donovan Mitchell to the Wiz for Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I would love that move.
I fucking hate Bradley Beal so much.
What?
That would be great for the Wiz.
He's a dumpster fire in the fourth quarter. I've watched every game this year and some from last year. He falls apart.
He's just not a top banana. And Spencer Dinwiddie's the guy who everybody's going for leadership.
I don't like you calling a black man a banana on Black History Month, but okay.
Nigga, fuck you and that goddamn stupid ass mascot. Look, you got fucking Jack Sparrow.
Look.
Spencer Dinwiddie is not playing very well either. So
what is the deal with him? Because I keep hearing reports about like him and how the team doesn't even want him anymore. Like
because he's not playing like he used to play because he's coming off a fucking injury.
Yeah. He's
not the team. I'm talking about the players.
That's what they said. Like they said, he's not playing like they thought he should play. So the players upset with him because he's trying to take that kind of role where it's like you're telling me this, but you're playing like shit, and you can't tell me shit. That's kind of what's happening. 19
minutes. He went 1 for fucking 15 with 2 assists and 9 turnovers.
We're talking about Spencer, right?
Yeah.
He
was awful.
Yeah, no, the team told him to shut the fuck up. Like he tried to be the guy. You can't do that.
Like how they did with Paul George.
You're gonna do that in the locker room with Montrezl Harrell?
Oh, after what he did to Paul George.
Right. It's like, come on, dog. You're not doing that. By the way, the best overall player on the team right now is Kyle Kuzma. So I don't know. But I just know wherever Brad Beal goes, fucking take that fucking Bertans contract with you. Okay? Whoever gets Beal has to take the contract.
I think he wants the max too. And they're saying now that the Wizards are trying to acquire some serious pieces to make Beal want to stay. So
whatever. I think at this point, I don't want to pay the super max. All right, the fucking blind E40 pirate on that stupid fucking hat. Peace out, bitches.
All right.